Transformers.
There we go.
More than meets the eye. Brian is going to give us a detailed description of every aspect of Transformers from the beginning in Japan till the newest movie, Beast Wars. Get comfortable. This one's going to be...
It'll take about 3 days.
3 days long.
So in order to avoid a 3-day-long video, I'm just going to do a broad overview talking about Transformers and a little more detail on Beast Wars. And again... we're just kind of...
This is an introduction to Transformers.
Kind of introduction. Because
we will do more.
Again, if you're a Transformers fan, you know that could take an entire YouTube channel just talking about Transformers. So we're just going to do a broad overview. If you're interested in more detailed information on each stage of Transformers or different things about Transformers, by all means, tell us in the comments, email us, let us know. If you want to, focus on one aspect, I'd be more than happy to. But for now, we're just doing a broad overview.
By watching and sharing this and subscribing through this, it tells us that you want more Transformers videos.
Exactly. Right.
That's why we make so many Meagle videos.
Right. So recently opened in theaters was Transformers Rise of the Beast, the new installment in the Transformers movie franchise. I have to be honest. I was a fan of Generation 1. I loved the original cartoon and the comics. I have not been a Transformers fan since the 80s.
You didn't like the Shia LaBeouf movies?
I didn't enjoy them as much as I had hoped I would, really. I was really hoping for something much better than what we got. I'm sure we got plenty of Transformers fans out there who are going to argue with me on that. That's fine. Please let us know in the comments what you thought and, why maybe I should reevaluate them. Let me know.
Maybe he will.
Yeah.
He watches a lot of bad movies.
I love movies in general. Good, bad, whatever.
The thing I love most about Transformers is that the same guy has voiced Optimus Prime since the first episode of the cartoon.
Yeah,
and he's still doing it today.
Mr. Peter Cullen.
Still
That's
today.
true. Yeah, he has.
That's awesome that he's still doing it.
Yep. And I don't think Frank Welker still does Megatron.
Oh, really?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
But he was the original Megatron, Frank Welker.
That's a big name in the
big name in voice industry. Yeah.
He did a lot of voices.
Yeah. All right. So you know what? It would be difficult for us to do this video if we didn't go back a little bit to the beginning of Transformers and just where it all came from. Where did it all come from?
Japan.
Japan, of course.
We're big there.
Huge in Japan. So, just a quick history of Generation 1. Generation 1 Transformers came out of 2 different toy lines from Japan. One was called Diaclone, and the other was called Microchange. Hasbro, when they licensed the characters from Takara, who were the original creators of it, they indiscriminately bought characters. They didn't really think about buying just Diaclone or Microchange. They just kind of picked and chose from both lines.
That's interesting.
So any of the Transformers that we have that are vehicles came from the Diaclone line.
Okay.
Any of the stuff we had that were like basic household appliances or smaller objects, like maybe a pistol.
The cassette, right? They had the cassette guy.
That's right. Yep. Those were from Microchange. Now, Microchange, just to throw this in, was actually an extension of the Microman line, which was also the basis for Mego's Micronauts line. So they're all kind of intertwined.
We did a whole video on the Micronauts comic
books. Yes.
So check that out. We'll put a link at the end of this video.
Right. So in 1984, Hasbro released the Transformers line. They were a huge hit, a tremendous, tremendous runaway hit in the 1980s. Generation 1 sold like wildfire. So well that by 1986, Hasbro wanted to sort of revamp the line and try to sell even more stuff.
Introduce more things.
Yeah, so when they actually were planning the movie, the first Transformers animated film that came out in 1986, it was written all the way back in 1984.
Wow.
They said, okay, we're going to use this movie to basically get rid of all the old characters and introduce new characters to sell new toys.
Is that when Optimus Prime dies?
Dies in the, yes. It was a very, very traumatic event for younger people at that time. A lot of people were very, very upset that they killed Optimus, and they killed a lot of the main characters and basically introduced new characters like Optimus Prime and
so they wanted to sell more toys.
Just basically. To sell more toys.
They killed poor Optimus Prime to sell a toy.
Exactly.
A new motion picture will transform the summer of 1986 into an incredible adventure. Transformers, the movie. An epic story of good versus evil. This spectacular animated adventure stars Orson Welles as Unicron, Leonard Nimoy as Galvatron, Robert Stack as Ultra Magnus, Judd Nelson as Hot Rod, and Eric Idle as the Junkion warrior Wreck-Gar. Summer of 1986, the most exciting adventure in the universe is on planet Earth. Transformers, the movie. Coming this summer to a theater near you.
And it kind of worked and it kind of didn't. But Transformers sold pretty well until the late 80s and early 90s. And then they introduced Generation 2, which were a lot of resculpts of old characters, a lot of change of colors, some new gimmicks added to some old figures. That was introduced in late 1992, and by 1995, that line was kind of dying out.
Did you ever have any?
I had Generation 1 Transformers.
Okay. I never had.
Yeah, I did. I just liked them a lot. Just having them around. They were like almost like more interesting Rubik's Cubes.
Okay.
You get them, throw out the instructions, and then figure out how to change it. It was pretty fun.
I never had them. I was actually a huge fan of GoBots. Just kidding.
I like GoBots too.
I was not a fan.
No, GoBots were great.
I didn't have any of those.
GoBots got a bad name, but they were actually pretty. Some of them were pretty cool.
None of them. Didn't have any GoBots. Didn't have any Transformers.
No, some of them were cool. So by 1995, Generation 2 was dying out. So Hasbro had a choice to make. They could revamp the line again. They could introduce something new that was similar, or they could just let it die and try something else. So they decided basically to kind of radically revamp the entire toy line, which is when they introduced in 1996 Beast Wars.
Megatron, terrorize! Optimus, maximize! Gigantic gorilla Optimus Primal, the biggest stage in transformation, transforms with double cannons firing. Megatron, terrorize! The evil towering T-Rex transforms from prehistoric to robotic, with pulverizing claw and twin missile launchers. The biggest stage in transformation. Each sold separately.
So, Beast Wars were robots disguised as animals. Now, there were some Transformers from Generation 1 that looked like animals. They were seeing things called the Insecticons that were part of the villains.
Dinobots?
The Dinobots, right. They were good guys. They were part of the Autobots. Now, these animals, though, looked like animals. They weren't like robot animals.
Right.
When the robots transformed into animals, they were supposed to look really organic. And actually, the sculpts on the figures did a great job of doing that. So other than making them look more organic and ditching the vehicle idea, one other thing they did was they actually got rid of the names Autobots and Decepticons and had brand new teams, basically doing the same thing, fighting over Energon, the war, the Civil War of Cybertron, et cetera, et cetera. But now we had as the good guys the Maximals, led by Optimus Primal, who could transform into a gorilla.
Oh, I remember the gorilla.
And we had the Predacons, led by a character called Megatron, but who was not actually the other Megatron. It was just the same name.
And what did he transform into?
I believe his first form he transformed into was some kind of dinosaur.
Okay.
I think he looked like a Tyrannosaurus Rex. I'd have to go back and look.
Because Megatron's a gun, right, originally?
He was originally a gun, then later a tank.
Right.
Because they had a problem with the
gun.
realistic-looking gun.
Yeah.
So, they made him a tank eventually. And plus, it made more sense. I mean, if he was
it does. It makes more sense. The pistol never made sense to me.
Yeah, because, again, it was taken from the microchange line of smaller objects.
Right.
Yeah. Again, all those characters, Optimus Prime, Megatron, and all that, they were really taken from the cartoon, which helped to build the mythology, and the Marvel comics that were way back in 1984. That ran for 80 issues, by the way.
Yeah, no, that was a big series at one point.
It was a good series, actually. The cool thing about the Beast Wars that I found out, again, I didn't know any of this until I started doing research on it. I never collected
Beast Wars was much later. We were much older. We would not have been involved with Beast Wars.
I would have just been out of college.
Yeah.
The cool thing they did with it, other than the new sculpts and all that, was first off, the packaging was distinctly different from Transformers. The Beast Wars name was much larger than the Transformers name, almost like it was a brand new toy that had almost nothing to do with Transformers. Also, they had red, scaly backdrops on the cards and the boxes that really stood out from like the other more
To
plain
make it look
boxes.
more
like
organic.
animal, dinosaur-y. And originally, the first run, they had these craggy, rock-like plastic bubbles on the packaging. That was changed pretty early on in the line to smooth bubbles, but I'd really like to get a look at some of those original packages, the craggy look. The features were different too. They really leaned into a heavy use of ball joints in this line of figures for better posability. I don't know if anybody remembers Generation 1 Transformers, but they couldn't really move a lot other than they're transforming in and out. Like maybe the arms would bend, legs really didn't move much.
Yeah, the focus was on the transformation, not the actual figure.
Yeah, the detailed transformation.
I mean, they all worked like what they were. Like Optimus Prime worked as a truck.
Yeah, and then he transformed to a robot, but he couldn't really move much.
Couldn't really move. You couldn't make them fight each other.
It was very difficult.
Yeah.
But the Beast Wars, they really leaned into ball joints.
The beginning came the beasts and all that creeps, crawls, and flies. But nature lies, they're robots in disguise. Beast Wars, the next step in Transformer evolution is here. New Maximals, heroic animals battle the evil reptile and insect forces of the Predacons. They fight tooth and claw. Heroic Dinobot attacks. Morphs from Raptor Beast into vicious robot with spinning velocirotor blades. Evil Waspinator full of venom changes like never before, from insect to high-tech, and puts the sting on Cheetor. But there's more to Cheetor than meets the eye. Under the skin lurks a robot within, with hidden weapons firing. But treacherous tarantula mutates and counterattacks. Charging, slashing, blasting, all new Beast Wars. The next step in Transformer evolution is here. And when you buy the Maximum Predacon 2-pack, you get a free Beast Wars comic book.
Which was successful in Generation 2.
So playability, they increased the playability.
Much more playability. It was a big improvement, actually, on the function from what I could see. Also, the weapons they had incorporated into their beast form when they transformed.
Oh.
So you didn't just have like a weapon laying behind a car.
It attached to them.
It disappeared into the figure
Interesting.
itself. Yeah. So they really went forward with an improvement on it, which is a great thing for a toy line to do. Also, they introduced a price point system based on the size of the figures. So there were basically 4 levels of figures. You had the $5 basic figures, which came in a bunch of different characters. You had a $10 deluxe figures, and you had a $15 mega figure, and then at the top you had $20 ultra figures. And if you look at the ultra Optimus Primal, it's a really cool looking figure.
So you can get Optimus Primal in any one of these at any one of these levels, or no?
Yes, some characters existed from deluxe up.
Okay.
Others just existed at basic.
Okay.
And then it was different for everyone. That's why I'm not going through a list of all the different figures, because there's a lot.
All right.
But they're really based on similar sculpts. So they didn't create that many figures. They just kind of repainted. Kind of like what they did with Generation 1, where all the plain characters were basically the same toy, just with different colors. Yeah. But, again, stressing here, from what my research I could find, was that Beast Wars were a big step up in posability, playability, and just design.
But not
general.
price, though.
No, it didn't get that much more expensive.
That's not expensive.
Right. There were lots of figures. I would say check out some of the links that we have attached to some of the research sites I put up. And if you want to go through a list, I would sit here and go through a list. But again, we'd be here for a long time with pictures just appearing and appearing and appearing.
And if you want it, we will do more of these.
Yeah, if you want me to get into more detail, please comment and let me know. We could do just that. But there were a lot of figures. And a lot of different animals, a lot of different stuff. One of the things I found interesting is that there were McDonald's exclusives that you could only get with Happy Meals that were released in 1996 and then again in 1998.
Interesting. And they were real Transformers, not like...
No, they were real Transformers, yeah. They transformed.
Not like
the figures.
cheapy
No, you got them with Happy Meals, yeah.
Good.
There were, when the line was originally released in 96, there were BJ Wholesale exclusives.
Really?
You could only get at BJ's Wholesalers.
Those I always hate. They had a couple of Star Wars ones like that. They had,
because we don't have any near us.
They had none near us.
Yeah,
you
hard
go
to
there,
find.
They wouldn't. And BJ's, the way it works is they're not on shelves long. They put them out. They sell or they don't sell. It's always a pain in the butt when they have something at BJ's or any of those big ones.
Oh yeah, very difficult. And then there's something called BotCon, which is an all Transformers convention that occurs. That they had exclusives for that too.
Oh,
for
those
this
are
line,
probably worth a fortune.
Can you imagine?
Those are probably worth a
Yeah,
fortune.
they're
Where do
probably-
they have those BotCons? Different places?
I think different places, yeah. Yeah, I'd have to, again, I could do some more research.
If you've ever been to a BotCon, let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know what that's like.
I'm interested. I love conventions.
I would love to know what a BotCon is like. Yeah.
Me too.
So then in 1998, they introduced 2 new variations on the line. They had something called Fusors, which were fusions between 2 animals that changed into a robot. Okay. So, for example, they had a character called Airhammer, who was a combination of a bird and a hammerhead shark that turned into a robot. So these brand new fusion creation, weird creatures. And they had something called Transmetals, which are actually kind of cool. They were some older original line figures that had different metallic parts on them than they originally had. And some of those transformed into not just a robot and animal, but some of them also had a vehicle form, a third form they could transform into.
Okay.
Because there were some original...
Again, sounds like much more playability.
Right. There were some Generation 1 Transformers that could do 3 different things.
Right.
I remember I had a spaceship guy who transformed into a robot, a spaceship, and a train.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why you'd have to go from spaceship to train, but who knows?
want a train if I have a spaceship?
Right, exactly. So, whatever. The line ran until 2001 before it was discontinued, and it basically kept Transformers alive through the late 90s and into the 2000s when they started to reintroduce some original figures as new versions and got us closer and closer to the movies that would sort of create the perpetual Transformers machine we have now. Of course, because it's Transformers and it follows the 80s pattern, there was an animated show.
Of course there was.
Right.
The commercial to sell.
Exactly. It ran from 1996 to 1999.
Take your Autobots!
Now you can watch the incredible adventures of the Transformers as heroic Autobots battle evil Decepticons 5 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. The Transformers are like nothing you've seen before. Don't miss a single day.
The Transformers, Monday through Friday at 4.
Actually, Transformers cartoon is pretty good.
Yeah,
I watched. It's probably my only connection to Transformers.
Hey, I like the 1986 movie, even though it was traumatic.
Yeah.
Larry DeBillo and Bob Forward were responsible for developing the show, and it was one of the very early all CGI computer animated shows. And it won a Daytime Emmy for Outstanding Achievement in Animation.
Very nice.
It even had a sequel series that was called Beast Machines that ran from 1999 to 2000 until about the time that the line kind of was closed down.
Makeover madness! Here's the old Optimus and here's the new Optimus for a new millennium! Fresh, fun, and fabulous!
Of course!
Now Blackarachnia, shown here in Beasties, wanted a bold new look that screams success. Isn't she stunning? She deserves it! Everyone's favorite bad guy, Megatron, always the egomaniac, went bigger and badder! Please! Everyone knows not to wear stainless steel after Labor Day. Beast Machines, tonight at 7:30! Keep it weird!
And once again, of course, because it's Transformers, it had comic books.
Comic books.
Comic books were a big part of the original mythology of Transformers.
Right.
And they are still a big deal. It started with a company called Dreamwave Productions. They published a few stories. Unfortunately, they went bankrupt in 2003. And that kind of...
So this is only Beast Wars comics.
Yeah, just Beast Wars comics.
So the Beast never appeared in
the original. No, never.
Okay.
They didn't exist by that point.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Then IDW picked up the license, and they put out 2 limited series. The first one was called Beast Wars: The Gathering. There were 4 issues, ran from February of 2006 to May of 2006. It was written by Simon Furman, who actually also wrote for Marvel Transformers in the 80s.
Oh, so they brought him back.
Yep.
That's cool.
And art by Dan Figueroa. The second limited series was called Beast Wars: The Ascending. It was 4 issues, ran from October of 07 to January of 08. And then IDW launched a Beast Wars ongoing series that started in February of 2021 and lasted till June of 2022 when Beast Wars lost the license, IDW lost the license to Transformers. Right now, the comic book license for Transformers is up in the air. From my research, I couldn't find out who has it now, but suggestions online seem to say that Skybound, which is a division of Image, was going for it, which would be kind of a weird fit. That's like Robert Kirkman's imprint on Skybound, and it's more adult-oriented stuff. I can't see
Transformers being adult-oriented.
But actually, I agree with an article I read in Comic Book Reviews that said that Boom Studios would be a really good
They
fit.
would. They do a lot of good things with some of those old properties.
They've been doing a really good job, apparently, with I haven't read them, but the Power Rangers comics that have been running forever there. So yeah, that might be a good place for them to
Transformers and Power Rangers
right.
crossover. Ooh.
Well, there were plenty at IDW of G.I. Joe Transformers crossovers.
Oh yeah, that was I've seen some of those.
And actually, the IDW was briefly building something called the Hasbro universe.
Yes,
That had ROM, I think Micronauts.
they scrapped it though.
Well, IDW apparently is having financial troubles. So that might be the reason why they didn't renew the
They
Transformers
got rid of
license.
some of their licenses.
Yeah.
And that's the ROM maybe going back to Marvel.
Could be I think it is going back to Marvel. Yeah.
So okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
So that's kind of, again, a broad overview of the Beast Wars stuff. If you want a more detailed look at any of this, Transformers Generation 1, 2,
Any part of Transformers,
any
comic
of the
books,
stuff of
whatever
Beast Wars that I might have missed.
I think a comic book overview would be a nice.
Yeah, comic book overview would be pretty good. If there's anything else you want to know about, you want us to cover, just throw it in the comments. Let us know, or email us. Let us know if you want to see something else about Transformers.
collectorsconfessions@gmail.com if you want to email us.
Absolutely. And let us know if you're going to go, if you've seen the Beast Wars movie, if you're excited about it. Was it good? Was it bad? How does it compare to the other Transformers movies? Did they do the characters justice if you're a Beast Wars fan? Did you have Beast Wars? Do you currently collect them? Let us know. Until then,
Love what you collect.
collect what you love.
We'll see you next time.
See you later.